if you try to curate too much of your content, you're going to find yourself in a trap that you set yourself, because actually our first organic video, or our first viral video, was something that we didn't think was going to reach anyone. It was just a joke. It was me narrating a video in Amraha's voice, and I was in a high-pitched girly voice, and it ended up getting 1 million views in the year 2020, back when TikTok was brand new. So 1 million views then, it was like 5 million today. If you spend too much time planning, you're gonna set yourself up for disaster. It's better to just do and be authentic and organic, and you'll see the success surely.
It's the Immigrant Unfiltered podcast with Hamza Ali. Hey guys, it's the Immigrant Unfiltered podcast with your host Hamza Ali, and today I have two beautiful guests all the way from Ohio. We have Imraha and Hamza here, and together they are Humraha on social media for those of you who have TikTok. Really quickly, once again, of course, thank you for being here. We have this whole backstory on how you guys tried to come here the last time, and I just heard it was like 6 flights that got missed.
6 delays, and then eventually the flight got canceled. Amraha was pregnant, and so of course we couldn't reschedule, so we had to reschedule for this week, and we're glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, man. We definitely want to hear all your stories and whatever journeys and explorations that you guys are on. So with that, let's get started really quickly. And, I think the first thing that I like to ask all my guests is, who are you? So, in your case, it would be, who is Humraha, right?
Mm-hmm. So I would say that I'm Amraha, this is Hamza, and together we're Humraha. We are a couple on social media who creates content about marriage and getting married young, and how we've worked together to accomplish our goals so far, and how we continue accomplishing our visions together.
Yeah, and the cool thing is Humraha is not only a combination of our first names, but Humraha also means companion in Urdu, so that's very fitting because we are truly companions, and we try to personify that in our content.
Mm-hmm. I am a medical student, and Hamza is a marketer, and at the same time, along with both of those things, we also have a small business that we run, and we started that right after we got married, and that's what most of our content is about.
How'd you guys meet?
We actually met on Salams. It was an online Muslim marriage app. And yeah.
Yeah, at the time it was called Minder, and then it's evolved since then. So now there's all these new and unique features. We've actually become Salam's ambassadors since then. But yeah, it's a great platform to meet future prospects, and it's a very halal way to do so.
Right, and I heard that someone's been trying to buy them for the longest time, and they've been having all of these issues with the purchase. Well, because they don't want to sell, they're holding out because they're doing such a good job.
I think that was Muzmatch.
Or was that a different app?
That might have been
about?
Muz. I think Match.com had some interest in Muz. Then there were some legal battles between Muz and Match.com because Muzmatch used the word match in their name, and Match.com had rights over the word match for any dating or marriage apps, and so then there were some legal battles, and now it's known as Muz only. But I'm not sure if Salams has any buyers in the horizon. We don't talk about any of that. We're simply ambassadors.
So I'm old school. I also got married young. I got married before the app world. How does one decide to get on? Like, is there a traditional route that you take and then you realize it's not for me and then you jump on an app? Or is that just normal for kids these days to that's it, we want to jump on the app?
Well, for me, I know that the timing, I was right at the end of my college career, I was about to graduate. I actually downloaded the app just because one of my other friends had found their spouse on there. And I was serious about it. So I downloaded the app. 2 days later, I matched Hamza, and then third day the app was deleted. So I literally was on there for 3 days.
Yeah.
So no messing around. Serious, like one and done.
Yeah. What the cool thing is the day we met, Hamza actually told his mom about me, and I think like what, 6 months later we were married after that.
Yeah, I deleted the app the same day I met her. I knew she was the one. I had been on the app for actually maybe 2 or 3 years, so I wasn't as lucky as Amraha. But once I met the one, I knew she was the one. I told my mom about her. I deleted the app, and everything was serious with Amraha from that point forward. And we got married in November of 2018, and 5 years later, we're expecting our first baby.
MashaAllah,
Almost
that's really good. Congrats.
Thank you.
So how old were you when you guys were on this on the app?
I had just turned 20.
And I was 25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
I
24.
was like, I completed my undergrad in 2 years, so that's why I was like a lot younger than most people are when they were graduating. But I mean, I was at a stage of my life where I knew that that was a possibility. It was a good next step.
And out of all the apps, this is the, like, I don't know, is this like the number one? Is this like the Tinder or whatever it is of Muslim apps?
Well, the reason like I personally chose the app was because it was marketed as a marriage app instead of like a dating app, or like, because really I didn't want to get involved in like the dating world. You know, it's like I feel like everyone or most people on the app, you have to look for the people that are serious, and especially if you were trying to go that route, there's always going to be bad people on every app. But since it's marketed as a Muslim marriage app, that's why it was my choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say it's probably the most serious option you can choose on the app market these days. But anything that works, as long as you take it seriously, that's what matters most.
Got it. And so you guys download this app, you meet him, you meet her, you talk to your mother immediately. Like, what does that mean? Is that like the same day or?
Yeah, I mean,
I talked to my mom about Amraha immediately. I said, I've met this girl. She's beautiful. She embodies everything I want in a partner, as well as everything I want in a future mother for my children. She has her priorities straight. She's very organized, smart, brilliant, and has a very bright future ahead of her. And what's not to love about her? Like, she's the one. I know, I can tell from day one. I have to take it seriously, and that's why I'm telling you, Mom. Like,
the funny thing is, so he got me flowers the first time we met, right? But I obviously couldn't take them back to my home, because like I hadn't told my parents at the time. So he gave his mom those flowers because I gave it back to him, and that's how the conversation started.
I brought home flowers for my mom, essentially, even though
obviously like that's not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be normal.
And then when did your parents find out?
My parents, I feel like, what was it, like 2-3 months later, when I think it's harder for the girl to tell their parents because of, I don't know, all the societal pressures, and also I didn't want to disappoint my parents. Hamza was the first person I brought to my parents, and I wanted to make sure that he was the one. I feel like the first day when you know, but over like the course of a few months, he kind of showed his commitment to me. And to me, it was the fact that literally the first day he told his mom about me. I had a conversation with his mom maybe like a week after or something, and I just felt like he was really taking it seriously. I could see a future with him, and once that happened, then my parents got involved too.
Yeah, I think women in general are and should be much more weary of men than men need to be of women. Women usually have much more pure intentions with a relationship than men do. So I think she was just making sure that I checked all the boxes before she, jumped the gun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your parents now. So you obviously went and told your mom the same day. You took a couple of months. What is that life like? What are your parents like?
So my parents are both immigrants. My mom is a stay-at-home mom, and then my dad is in cybersecurity. So very like IT typical like parents. And honestly, like they've done so much for me. And I also have 3 siblings. And I'm the oldest of my family, so it was definitely like a different experience for everyone really that was involved. Just me going to them and telling them, oh, there's this guy that I've been talking to for like 3 months. So obviously at first they were hesitant. It's not like they were like, okay, a random person comes into life, that's fine as long as he's okay. But I feel like it took 2-3 times of them meeting you, seeing that. Like
I not only met her parents, I met her entire community. And
you married the community. That's what it's like.
I had to get approval from all the uncles and aunties in the Columbus community. And I passed the test. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. I think it's like, especially me being like the oldest daughter, I'm like a very prized possession of my parents, you know? Like, they gave up their entire world to come and raise us in this society. So when it was time for them to give me up, it was a lot harder. But once they saw that Hamza was committed, he would help me with all my goals, because obviously, like, they knew that medicine would be a long career, and just that it requires a lot of support. And once Hamza was able to show them that he will provide for that and he will support me in any way possible, they were more than happy and have been super supportive of our marriage since then.
Yeah, our parents come from a generation where arranged marriages are the norm. And so how strange is it? I'm also the oldest child in my family, first one to get married, same with Umraha. How strange must it be for this generation of parents to see their kids choosing their partner? You know, as a parent looking at your child, you don't necessarily know whether they know what's best for themselves. And so they question whether Umraha chose the right person, whether I chose the right person. And thank God, 5 years later, it seems like everything's working out great. And our parents just wanted the best for us, and that's why there were all these checks and balances going on in the early stages of our marriage process.
Yeah. And I would say, honestly, like, compared to like what a lot of people have to deal with, we got married in 6 months, so it wasn't like we had too many issues or like too many checks and balances that we had to go through.
Yeah.
But our parents were super supportive. Alhamdulillah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to hear. You know, I can't tell you how many times, even here, that we hear that there's a lot of pushback, especially when it comes to marriage and at a young age and through a dating app. It's like, you know, it just gets very difficult. So you guys are super lucky that your parents were super supportive at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So what have you guys been doing since your marriage? Now, obviously, you've been creating social media. You spoke a little bit about a business.
Mm-hmm. So our business started actually after our first Eid together. We both, even before marriage, took really like pride in the gifts we give, and we always like try to give gifts that are meaningful and not something that's just going to be put away in the basement or gifted to someone else later. So we created personalized Muslim-oriented gifts for our first Eid together, for all of our family members, and everyone loved them. It was actually sweatshirts kind of like this. And then I have 2 younger brothers, and they would wear it all the time. My dad would wear it all the time. Hamza's family would too. And slowly we realized that this is a need in the community. That's what really started it, the business.
Yeah, and I have a background in e-commerce, and Amraha at the time was still studying for her MCAT, I believe, and she had a lot of extra free time, and she needed something to do. I told her, you know, empower yourself and make this vision a reality and make it a business, because I'm very business minded. And she said sure, and she took the reins and started making videos and learning the ropes of how to make apparel and gifts and things of that nature. And I taught her kind of how to market herself and grow the business from a business mindset, and here we are.
Yeah, so our content actually started off as business content. It was either us, it was videos of me making the items, or just without us in the video or without voiceovers or anything. It was just like the TikTok voice. But we actually had a video that went viral where it was Hamza voicing over in like my voice, and that was the first video that hit 1 million. And then from there we started telling more of our story and like who the people are behind the business, and that's when we realized that people want to see who Humraha really is and not like the items that we sell. So we kind of started creating that content from there. I would say it was 2020 is when we like started taking it seriously, right? And then within a year we built up a lot of like support, and we hit 100K about a year after that.
Actually, a lot of our inspiration came from one of your past guests,
Oh, yeah.
Sonia Kilji. She actually was visiting Columbus at the time.
And I was like a huge fan of hers. Like,
Yeah, she's just great. She's awesome.
And I commented on one of her videos, and I was like, "Oh, I'm from Columbus. I would love to show you around." And we met up that day. She talked a lot. I mean,
she was very down to earth, kind of told us like what's going on behind the scenes. She was very authentic. We saw her authenticity and said, "Hey, like that's amazing. Like you can be yourself. You don't have to be fake on social media to succeed. Why don't we give it a shot?" And she really inspired us to go 100% moving forward. And I think from that point, forward, we gained 100,000 followers in like 6 months, and then 250,000.
Our content has always been like authentic. We never try to like curate content or like make life seem perfect or whatever. Because I mean, obviously, like there's great things about marriage, but we never like make it seem like everything's perfect. And in reality, nothing's perfect.
Some of our best content is us being honest about marriage and how marriage isn't always 50-50. Sometimes the husband or wife has to pick up the slack of the other because, you know, sometimes Amraha's not feeling up to it or I'm not feeling up to it. And so, you know, marriage is not all butterflies and rainbows. It's a little bit of a struggle for sure.
That's awesome. So, by the way, Sonia is a great person. She's absolutely who she is off camera as she is on camera. Just such a genuine personality.
She's one of the main reasons we love Houston.
Yeah.
We actually visited her last year around the same time.
Are you visiting her this time around as well?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. She's just so amazing. So, okay, so what are these items? So I know you said you had background in e-commerce. Can you elaborate a little bit on that background? Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners would want to understand what that is.
Yeah, so I started in 2018 with e-commerce. I was actually running a brick and mortar retail business at the time and decided to dip my toes into e-commerce, specifically drop shipping, which is you know, if you're a young guy online these days, you see nothing but ads about how you can get rich quick doing drop shipping. 99.9% of the time you won't get rich. I happened to get lucky that first business, and within 3 months we made $1 million. And I knew, like, from that point on that e-commerce was my calling. I started studying performance marketing, paid advertising, email marketing, social media, and influencer marketing, to the point where I became an expert and started, you know, I understood e-commerce like the back of my hand. But I've always wanted to move away from the drop shipping aspect of things because it's not a great way to build a long-term sustainable business. And instead I wanted to create a brand that I could put my face behind and be proud of. And just by chance, with Amraha's vision and my expertise in e-commerce, like, Humraha was born because of this, like, perfect, like, you know, combination of vision and expertise.
So, you know, when you say drop shipping, is it like you buy off Alibaba or AliExpress, whatever these websites are that, you know, we see all the gurus talk about, and then you just sell it on Facebook or Google, or how does that work?
In a nutshell,
and also the $1 million. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Is that gross? Is that net? What was the work behind the $1 million?
Yep. So drop shipping in a nutshell is when you can acquire a sale for a product or service, and then after the sale has been acquired, you bring the product to the customer. And that can be done through AliExpress. Let's say I advertise a t-shirt on my website, someone purchases it. Immediately after they purchase it, I make the purchase from my supplier on AliExpress.com and ship it straight to the consumer. There are a lot of benefits and issues with that. The benefits are, of course, it's very attractive having the ability to make sales without investing any money. There are a lot of downsides, which is shipping times, quality assurance, customer satisfaction. It's abysmal. It's just not a long-term sustainable business model. And when it comes to that $1 million revenue, it was in revenue, first of all. It was in the first 3 months, and it was because at the time in 2018, Facebook advertising was just a magical time. You could, you know, spin up a quick Shopify website and put some products online, start running some ads on Facebook. Even if you have some poor advertising techniques, you could, you know, do pretty decent in sales. However, what I did was I studied advertising even at a time when advertising was a lot easier, and was able to strike gold because of that. And I was able to niche down on my targeting, niche down on the types of products I was selling, increase the variety of products I was selling, and making sure my website looked absolutely stunning from the moment you hit the front homepage to the moment you're checking out. Everything was flawless, and I was doing a lot of conversion rate optimization to make sure that the sales funnel was as optimal as I could make it. Combine that with some of my email marketing expertise and the environment of Facebook ads at the time, I was able to net $1 million in revenue the first 3 months.
And what were you spending in ads?
At the time, I think it was maybe 200,000 total in ad
ads
spend
over
yeah.
the 3 months.
Yep.
Oh, that's still pretty good ROI.
Yeah, it's very
That's
good.
significant ROI.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome, man. Congrats. That's
Thank
crazy.
you.
So Facebook ads since then, what's going on with that? Are they getting more complicated? Is it easier?
With iOS, it was iOS 14.5, which came out in the middle of 2021. Advertisers no longer have the same access to consumer information that they once did, making it very difficult for you to target who you need to. And so really it was Apple who screwed Facebook over. And even moving forward to iOS 15, Apple also made it difficult for email marketing because now you can't even see if a consumer truly clicks on an email or a link in an email. So just the lack of visibility has created a much worse environment for advertising.
I see. Well, I don't understand. I know that we run ads and we spend a lot of money on ads for our businesses, but I have no idea how any of that is done anymore. It's just gotten so complicated that even I don't, it's like Pandora's box. I don't want to open it. I'm like, as long as it's working, let's just leave it. Don't touch it. So obviously you used that knowledge and used their vision, started off the business. And so how did that business start? So you said you started with an Eid holiday party. You created a bunch of merch or merchandise, and you distributed that. That gave you an idea. How does that end up becoming, okay, Amraha, you have the vision, you designed this, or, because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you guys are, I mean, we're talking high level, but there's logistics, there's sourcing, there's quality, there's printing. Who do you trust? How do you find them? Like, how did you go around all of that? I mean, you guys are fairly young. It didn't seem like you come from families that have this type of
Yeah, number one thing for Humraha from day one has been quality, quality, quality. After, drop shipping stopped being as successful or as lucrative, I knew that the reason was because of quality and shipping time. So those are the two main priorities for me with Humraha, and we try our best to make sure that we produce the best quality products and apparel, and we do that in-house now.
And I think another main thing for us was that we wanted a brand that we could stand for, a brand that would help us accomplish our mission of being able to express your culture in comfort. Because growing up, we, as immigrant families or as immigrant children, we wanted to always be able to fit into this culture, but at the same time not lose our original, where we came from. I was born in Pakistan, but then I moved here when I was 2 years old. So it's not like I have a very, very strong connection there. But I think Humraha started off with something that was a gift for our families. But now, we were just talking about this earlier, it's more of, what would you say, especially with us having a kid soon, we want to be able to make sure that she is able to be connected with her culture, because it's going to be a lot harder to have her be connected with, they see Pakistani culture still, but we wanted to make sure that she would be able to stay connected with that, but at the same time be able to fit into this culture where she is growing up in.
I mean, to sum it up into one line, our tagline is where culture meets comfort. So that's one of our taglines. The other tagline is Eastern culture meets Western aesthetic. And so Humraha is that embodied, where we want people to express their culture in a comfortable way. You can't wear the most traditional items to your local library or to school, but you can wear Humraha clothing and still feel like you're authentic about your culture and your roots, and you can display that for the world to see without sticking out like a sore thumb. It's
right.
really,
and
yeah.
Who's coming up with the designs? I see you guys wearing some really cool stuff, colors, coordination, fonts, even the language that you guys are using.
Honestly, it's just both of us, we're always just talking about it, whether it's we're at lunch or dinner or just going on a walk. We're always just thinking about ideas, thinking about just anything that we could. It's all authentic, all us.
It's such an ingrained part of our lives that sometimes Amraha has to tell me, hey, I want to have lunch with you, but please don't talk about business. Please don't talk about ideas you have for a new design or something. I say, okay, sure, yeah, let's make sure that we stop talking about business, because our business is something that we talk about throughout our day. It's really nice having Amraha as my business partner and my wife, because she kind of truly gets what's going on in my mind throughout the day, what I'm dealing with for the business, and she can help me a lot with that.
And the funny thing about like us being business partners is that we both have different like strengths. I know that I am more like logistical and more realistic, and Hamza's more
My head's in the cloud fairly often.
Visionary.
yeah, visionary. So kind of like bringing both of those together. If Hamza has an idea, I love to be able to bring it to life.
Right.
Or if Hamza has a crazy idea, then I love to be able to say, that's a great idea. What if we do it this way? And
So are you the implementer?
I definitely am the
So
implementer.
you're the visionary, you're the implementer. Have you guys read or know anything about EOS?
I've never
Okay,
heard
so EOS, you guys should read a book. I'll just try to remember what the name is in a second. But EOS is basically a system that you use as a business, and it can be any size business. And basically, the first thing that you look at in a business is you have to have a visionary, but the visionary cannot be the implementer. So you have to find an implementer.
Mhm.
And it,
And
se-
Yeah.
and it
That's
seems
why we
like
make
you
a
guys
great
have
team.
that with each other.
We recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we recognize our own strengths and weaknesses. So I tell Amraha, like, hey, I know I am too much of a visionary. Can you please keep me grounded? And at the same time, I will help you in the areas that you're weak at. And that's like the perfect formula for a really successful, stable business. Because a lot of times, I could be a visionary and maybe strike gold once in a while, but it's not a stable, consistent way to run a business.
And I think not just business, like that goes the same way for marriage as well. We both have our strengths and weaknesses in marriage, and we both really like help each other become the best version of each other, and that's how we accomplish our goals together. That's how we accomplish our marriage together.
Do you guys put any guidelines on, we're not going to talk about work from this time to this time, or how do you really balance that work life environment, because you're constantly with each other?
I'd say we like if either of us is not feeling it at the moment, we are just really good at communicating that, and I'll be like, because I really don't want to talk about business right now, can we talk about something else? Or it's not like from this time to this time, because every day is different, especially with medical school. Some days I'll have literally hours of studying to do, or other days I'm like at rotations or stuff. So every day is very fluid, and especially having the business from home, we are always working, but at the same time always not working too. So it's just being able to communicate your feelings with your spouse and your needs at that specific time, I think, is what helps us be successful as a couple in business together. Because, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no structure to how we deal with our life and business intertwining, but there's a lot of respect for for each other's boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about medical school. What's that like?
Medical school is rough. But alhamdulillah, it's been something that I've wanted to do my entire life. And alhamdulillah, I've made it so far, and I still have a couple of years left in the residency, but I love the fact that I'm able to balance that with content creation, with Hamza and the business, and just everything. Sometimes some parts of my life take up more space than others, and sometimes medical school pushes everything away.
I mean, it's a tough gig.
It absolutely is. But I think like with my support system, Hamza and my family, and like literally my entire community, I feel so supported. We don't have a typical marriage where the woman is the one cooking. I could probably count on my hands the number of times I've cooked like a meal.
I mean, you don't have time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to clean most of the time. And just like communicating that with each other, with my little brothers will come over and help me clean sometimes. Just having that support system, I think, is what enabled me to not only be in medical school, but also be pregnant in medical school. I was one of the only students in my class that was pregnant. And I've had a lot of like female students come up to me and tell me how like inspired they are just by the fact that I'm able to handle all the things. And I know that like I would not be able to do it if I didn't have the support system that I do have.
Well, that's really good to hear. Now, medical school, business, family, and then husband. How are you gonna cook?
I don't cook. That's the real answer.
Sometimes we even quantify it like, hey, it's going to take you an hour to cook all this food. And in that hour, there's X, Y, and Z tasks that we could complete. And those tasks are worth much more than the time it takes to cook. And so why not just order some food once in a while?
90% of the time we end up ordering food.
I think with Middle Eastern and Desi food, it's more cost effective to order out than it is to cook, just because of the portion. We have no portion control when we cook. When we cook for like 10 people.
And it takes so long.
And it takes so long.
So long.
And so because there's no portion control, it's literally better to order out. And, my wife and I, same thing. I would always tell her, let's just order out. It makes more sense. It's way more cost effective, and neither one of us has to cook. And that's what we kind of did until we had kids.
And it's not for everyone. It's for extremely busy lifestyles or people who just don't have the means to cook. But for us, we found that we're much more effective, more efficient people in life if we just make this automated and just order out and spend our time and energy on more income generating activities.
Right.
The funny thing is, so my father-in-law is actually living with us right now. He's usually in Pakistan, but he's here for the baby. And I tried to make biryani for him, and it took me literally 4 hours. It ended up being not so great. He ate it anyways, and he was really nice about it. But I was just thinking, what if I spent that 4 hours doing business stuff and just ordered biryani for $15? So I think it's stuff like that. It's more cost effective to just order food.
Right. It just justifies itself at that point. So let's talk about, you're gonna finish your residency, you're gonna graduate.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, all that will be done. What's the goal at that point?
I think so. I would have answered this question really differently before marriage, because I don't have a business background. Hamza does have a business background, and I think that opened up a whole new world of opportunities for me. I would love to be able to either take my social media and use that to amplify my career as a physician, or be able to help more people than just my local community, make it a business. Just be able to take the skills and all the skill set that I've gained from all these different little projects, and be able to combine that in one and somehow make a business out of it. I think that would be the
what
future
are your thoughts
for me.
on that?
I support that 1,000%. I think you're hurdling this insanely difficult object and getting this really tangible qualification, which is your medical degree, and you are now a licensed physician in the United States. That's extremely valuable. And there are many normal paths that you can take to become a physician, a pediatrician, whatever you want to do. But we are in a unique position where we also have this amazing community that follows us online. Why not try to do something where we can combine the two worlds and educate the world or help the world using this qualification? So we're in a really unique position. I think that we shouldn't be taking it for granted.
Yep.
I see a ton of doctors, Desi doctors online today, and they're super successful, and they've leveraged social media to educate people, and I think it really works. I think the younger generation today, if they have a question, they just open TikTok and they want answers.
Yep, exactly. And I think it would definitely help with the work-life balance as well, because work-life balance as a physician is really difficult with the way the U.S. healthcare system is and how it operates. But being able to take that degree, make it into a business, I think would really help me be able to balance my family and also my career at the same time. Because I want to be a parent that's present.
Right. You want to be there for your child, obviously, especially in the beginning.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. What happens to Humraha then?
Nothing. I think Humraha is going to continue until the end of time, I hope. And this is one of those situations where marriage isn't 50-50. If she's invested deeply in her medical career, I need to be stepping up and making sure that Humraha, the business, carries forward and there are no hiccups. Is that what you meant by Humraha, by the way? Because Humraha can mean our couple Humraha or the business.
I mean the brand in general,
yeah.
Because that's the couple, that's the brand, that's the both of you.
Yeah, so I feel like it would just continue as it does right now.
Yeah.
I think especially now we're at a point where we have a lot of like the baseline pretty much set up, and the logistical part of it, we have employees that can help with that and get everything done. So really, like, the brand is us. It's our relationship. It's our content. It grows with us, no matter like whether it's. Yeah.
Humraha is not the difficulty of running Humraha is not just the logistics. It's growing the brand, and growing the brand can continue even while she's pursuing her medical career. We can still make content and connect with the world and grow that brand. And then the logistics of running the business is actually the simpler part. You know, I can automate a lot of those processes, you know, write them down and teach employees how to do that type of thing. But what I can't teach them is how to be us and connect with the world and grow this brand.
And do the designs and all of that. That'll still be you guys.
Yes. Yep.
So how are you guys sourcing your product right now? Like, you know, your actual sweatshirts. Is that something that you guys are like picking, or is there just like a brand that you guys are working with where, hey, you guys deliver this and we'll just print on it?
Yep. So without getting too into the weeds of how it's produced, we do make all the products in-house, and we have suppliers in the U.S. That we source from.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. It really, it's a small business that we run from home, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the reason I ask you is because I too have like merch stuff that I provide for my conference and, you know, for my other stuff. And the way I've kind of figured it out is basically I found a guy, he's local, and he does a good job, and he sources good product, and I don't really have to do anything. Now, the only thing that I don't have expertise in is e-commerce, so I can't sell anything online. And so for that reason, I just partnered up with him. I'm like, hey man, look, you know, print these for me. I actually have inventory in-house. And then every time someone comes, I'll gift them like, you know, whatever, a t-shirt or a hoodie or whatever it is. But I actually have all that material in-house. Is that your model as well, where you have to actually...
start to finish, like it's all us.
Yep.
Like we make it, we pack it, it's literally us doing all of the work, yeah.
And so you guys are shipping it,
Yep.
you guys are making sure it get mailed out.
Yep, customer
Customer
everything.
service.
Yep,
So it's a
social media.
business. This thing is a full-on business. Yeah. And how much time would you say it takes per day to run something like this?
We just closed out our Ramadan month, which has been extremely busy. It always is. And I think during Ramadan, we were spending...
I'd say like 3-4 hours a day on it.
Yeah, 3-4 hours a day just fulfilling. We weren't growing the brand at that point, and just the sheer number of orders took 3-4 hours for both of us combined. Per day to fulfill and make sure that customers were receiving their orders within a couple of days.
And then we also had like, we occasionally like do have like employees that come and help us to just keep the process running throughout the day. So
Right, because you can't stop. If you stop, well, you have more work the next day.
And this is while she's a full-time student, I'm a full-time employee at a company. So these 3-4 hours are being done from the hours of 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. or later, and it's not that easy. But I mean, this is what it takes to run a business, especially if it's a side business and you're not full-time with it. So it takes two.
Where do you see the brand going in the next couple of years?
My head's in the clouds. I'll let Amraha answer.
No, I want
that
the cloud answer first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Next couple of years, the cloud answer is I would love Humraha to be a much more household name, recognizable brand by people of South Asian and Middle Eastern cultures in the West. So I want people in the UK, Canada, and the US to be able to talk to each other in typical conversation and throw the word Humraha in there and know what what they're talking about. Even longer term vision, again, head in the clouds, is Humraha is like a one-stop shop for all your gifting needs, kind of like Gap is in the US for apparel. You know, it's just family-friendly apparel that you can purchase and gift to anyone.
Yeah, I just see Humraha growing as we grow as a family. Actually, we just added onesies to our store because we were like, wait a second, there's no onesies like us. And if we want our kids to be wearing something like that, we need to make it. So we just started offering that. So really, Humraha as a brand, I think will grow as we grow. And Humraha as like the couple and the content, it will literally just grow as our life progresses on as well. it'll change.
I want people to be purchasing Humraha and holding on to it dearly when they receive it, and just feeling like they've gotten a piece of home in their hands.
And like I want it to stay 100% authentic, like it is right now. Like our content is we take pride in making sure that we deliver start to finish good quality, just pretty much like.
You know, as you guys speak and I look at you, I remember Jessica Alba's brand, Honest. I don't know if you guys have heard of her brand. So Jessica Alba's a Hollywood celebrity turned entrepreneur, took her company public recently. Very true to her brand. She became CEO of her company, and she ran it. And I think she's probably, if I'm not mistaken, self-made billionaire.
Oh wow!
Is it Honest? The
Honest. It's Honest. It's a brand, and what she does is she makes baby care stuff, skin care, creams, shampoos, clothing, and everything is her and her team, of course, and her husband and her family. But she's involved in everything. I think she'd be a really cool case study for you guys.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
She went and rang the bell on Wall Street. It was crazy. It was amazing to watch that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When they IPO'd her company. So, well, that's good, and I wish you guys luck, and I can definitely see something there because you guys are so passionate about your business. Let's talk about numbers. Okay, so let's say I'm starting out, young guy, 20 years old, I'm listening to this podcast. I have a little bit of money in the bank. What would I do to start something like this?
Your first step, I would say personally, is to open up a Shopify website, and Shopify costs as little as $29 a month. Hosting a domain where your URL is going to lead from is $12 a year, and creating a website from scratch and just investing your time to making sure that website is beautiful from top to bottom, homepage, product page, checkout page, everything. You're going to spend a lot of time rather than money on creating that storefront. Then
I think that also goes for like even the content. Like you don't need to be spending $200K on ads. I think the best content is the one that's organic. That's how we've grown our brand. And in fact, like from what Hamza was saying, you just need a website. And the funny thing is my 16-year-old brother, Hamza, helped him start a business too. And he's been able to grow that just by investing time into it. My family doesn't come from like a business background. And really all it takes is just a lot of hard work. And you don't need capital in the beginning. You just need time and effort and a vision, and it keeps going.
Yeah, be as frugal as possible when you have very little money to hold on to in the first place, and try to see what organic ways you can market your business or service. And
would you say so? You would say social media is very important.
Oh, absolutely.
Jump on social media, start talking about it.
And create a very authentic brand presence and show your face and, you know, your vision for your brand and why you started this, and, you know, talk to your audience. Don't just show them your product and expect people to purchase. You know, people purchase from us not just because we make decent clothing or gifts, but rather because they support us and our vision and us as a couple. And
we never try to be like the trendy brand. I know that there's like a lot of brands out there that'll like put out very superficial or like highly curated ads and content on like Facebook ads and stuff. And I mean, I'm sure that those convert as well, but for us, what we've seen work is being able to tell our story, being able to see like the customers that support Humraha support us as a couple. They support our vision in terms of being able to combine the culture and the comfort, and they appreciate what we stand for instead of just our highly produced content.
Let's talk about content. So I watched some of your stuff. It's fairly entertaining. You know, I kept scrolling and watching more videos because I wanted to know more. How curated are they, if at all? And what do you guys use to film? Is it just an iPhone, or are you guys using any technology, or what's going on there?
It's just an iPhone. And in terms of curating, we really we don't. It's like we'll have an idea in our mind and we'll just make it. Sometimes we'll go like literally, especially with med school, we'll go a couple of weeks without making content because that's just the phase of life that I'm in at the moment. But when I have time, I'll make the content, and it literally is always straight from the heart.
If you try to curate too much of your content, you're going to find yourself in a trap that you set yourself, because actually our first organic video, or our first viral video, was something that we didn't think was going to reach anyone. It was just a joke. It was me narrating a video in Amraha's voice, and I was in a high-pitched girly voice, and it ended up getting 1 million views in the year 2020, back when TikTok was brand new. So 1 million views then, it was like 5 million today. If you spend too much time planning, you're gonna set yourself up for disaster. It's better to just do and be authentic and organic, and you'll see the success surely.
Sometimes I do wish like I had more of a structure in terms of like, oh, I want to devote 2 hours a day to making content. But in reality, with the way that med school works out, life, home, business, everything, I end up not having those 2 hours a day to devote to social media content creation. So it really just, it's authentic. It's whenever I have time, whenever I feel like sharing. In fact, like even today, I was this trip. I was like, oh, we're gonna be on a podcast. What do you guys want to hear? So it's really like very authentic, and I want to make sure that I am making a positive impact on the world. And whenever I make content, I think that's my main thing is. Growing up, I was always someone in the community that people looked up to and went to for like advice in terms of academics or like leadership. I was like the president of my master's youth group. I was class valedictorian, and like literally I was like the big sister that everyone looked up to. So I kind of took that vision and I try to implement that on my social media as well. And I like love being able to portray marriage and med school and like life in general in a positive way, and being able to lead through that. So yeah.
Top 3 platforms. What are you guys using?
TikTok, Instagram, and
YouTube is our third one that we want to invest more time into, but haven't
Long
yet.
form or shorts?
Well, we haven't really created any YouTube specific content yet. We want to get more into that. We started off on TikTok. I actually started my Instagram last year. I didn't even have an Instagram before that. And then I think this year our goal is to start creating more YouTube content.
And the reason I think TikTok is number one is because on other platforms, you have your established leaders based on their followers, and that's who gets the most reach in terms of views. With TikTok, they completely flipped the script and said, hey, anyone can go viral. And I think to this day, it's still very true. No matter, there are creators with 1,000 followers that get more views than people with 1 million followers on a regular basis. And that's the opportunity that we saw with TikTok in its early days, and that's the reason it's the number one platform for us even to this day.
Are you noticing anything new on TikTok recently with the algos?
I feel like we haven't been posting as much recently, quite honestly, just because I've been so sick throughout my entire pregnancy. I've been able to I've just been trying to like keep up as much as I can. But I would say that with TikTok, I feel like the content that is going more viral right now is when people are talking directly to the camera instead of just like following trends and stuff, and putting out their own unique content instead of just random videos and stuff. But I don't know.
It's if you try to keep up with the algorithm versus just keeping up with your own authentic, good quality content, you're gonna have a very tough time because this algorithm changes nonstop. I mean, just last month I was seeing nothing but TikTok shop content. Next month it might be some new TikTok feature. I think the month before that it was TikTok Now, their clone of Be Real. So if you try to keep up with this algorithm, you're just going to set yourself up for a headache, and your content's not going to be consistent, and it's going to be very inauthentic. What I would say is follow the Mr. Beast model, which is just create good content. The algorithm will find you as long as you just create good content.
By the way, I think I remember something about TikTok Now. Is TikTok Now even a feature anymore? I think it's gone.
No, I think it's gone. Yeah, I don't remember.
It might still be a feature, but I mean, it was just a Be Real clone.
Yeah.
And
I
Be
think
Real
they killed
died
Be Real
down.
and moved on.
Yeah, they just killed it. They killed Be Real, then they killed themselves with TikTok Now, and they're moving on to better features, I think.
right? And how are you guys doing on Instagram? What are the conversions like? Is there any real value?
Yeah, we're getting much more views on Instagram.
I personally, I love Instagram. I think the thing about Instagram that I like is the being able to interact with my audiences, whether it's like through stories or just being able to message. Only TikTok only recently enabled people to be able to message you, but with Instagram, I'm able to one-on-one connect with my followers, and they'll send in questions. I think every like month or so I try to do an Ask Me Anything type of poll, and people will send in their questions, and I'm able to directly communicate with them instead of just guessing what they want to hear. So
Yeah, Instagram always feels like it's a two-way street versus TikTok is more of a one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense. And so you guys mentioned YouTube. You guys are going to get on there. Humraha is going to be on YouTube soon, guys. Is that long form content? Are we talking like vlogs? Are we talking, education? Or is it going to be similar to like TikTok short type product?
Something that I would like absolutely love to do is just make kind of like a how-to series, because I always get the questions of how do you manage pregnancy in med school? How do you manage marriage in med school? And that's not a one-page question or one video question. It's like a long-form type of conversation that you have, and sometimes it would require both me and Hamza. And I feel like the YouTube creators that I love following are the ones that answer the big questions, or the having morning routines and stuff like that. So I would love to like create content kind of like that, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think YouTube takes up a lot more time to be able to fill that content and then also edit that content. With TikTok and Instagram, I'm able to create that content on my phone and publish it right away. With YouTube, it's just a lot more work. And I think I'm not like super comfortable just like always like talking. I don't know. So I think that's just gonna be a skill that I'm gonna have to learn.
Yeah, well, look, YouTube is an animal of its own. It needs its own like work strategies, and but also from what I hear, their monetization, is the best out of every. Well, I don't know about that because TikTok just rolled out something where now they're paying crazy amounts of money. So I don't know if they're going after YouTube, or I don't know what's going to happen to YouTube with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are trying to go after YouTube right now, and they're showing that with the CPMs, the dollars per 1,000 views that you can generate for your videos. And I don't know too much about that program, but I know it's new, and when it's new, it's ripe for the picking. So any creators out there that are able to get into this program, you should take advantage of it right now while it's hot. But yeah, YouTube, I think, will still remain the king of monetization.
Yeah. So talking about monetization, let's talk about monetization. So obviously you're a med student, you're a full-time marketing person, you guys have this business. What is the money world? What is the money factor like with you guys right now? So, are we talking, have you guys succeeded in life? Are you guys still going at it? Obviously you guys are fairly young, so but this is a question I like to ask all my guests to kind of see where they are and where they are going over the next couple of years.
I would say we're exactly where we need to be in life right now. There's always like a bigger goal, because we have multiple income streams. Like we have Hamza's job, we have our social media income, and then we also have our business. In terms of money, like we bought our first house like last year. We have cars and stuff. What we would love to do is just like have lots and lots of extra money, but I think there comes a time where you need to be able to balance like life and just being able to realize how much money is actually worth. Money can't buy you happiness, and I think we're really at a point where we love our life right now, and I'm sure that'll money-wise it'll change like with a kid and everything, but there's always going to be room to grow. But I feel like we're really comfortable.
Yeah, I think one of the scariest things that's coming up is actually, so I have a well-paying job it's work from home for the most part. We have this business that allows us to work from home. What we really value more than the money, which we have, alhamdulillah, made plenty of, is the time that we have at home and together. And with Amraha, you know, medical school takes up a lot of that time. So that's where we see a lot of opportunity to improve the amount of time she can spend at home. So whatever her career path is, I hope it's something that allows her to clock out at a reasonable time and be home with me and the kids.
Like I feel like growing up, you would always hear, oh, be a surgeon, or like be like one of the really high-paying medical careers. But you also need to realize the time and effort and time away from family it takes up to get to one of those higher-paying medical careers. Whereas like I am more, I'd say, more interested in like family medicine now, a more work-life balance. I'm prioritizing that a lot more than money.
So the reason I asked you guys that question is I had a guest a little while ago. Her name is Nida. She's an attorney, amazing, awesome guest from California. And I asked her this question, and she's like, you know, it's funny, Hamza, that you asked me that, because when my attorney friends look at me, you know, they're like, well, we don't even know why you're here, because, you know, you do so well because of social media that there's really no reason for you to be here.
Right.
And she still does it day in and day out. So it's just, that's what gives her happiness. That's what gives her joy. That's what's her purpose, you know, aside from, of course, the money factor. And so that's what she's monetized on, you know, and that's kind of what would you guys say that's something similar for you?
I get that question all the time, because it's like, if I'm making so much money, or I think about that all the time too, actually. If we're making enough money through social media, through business, through Hamza's job, why am I still doing med school? But at the same time, it's like, it's something that's a part of me and I'm passionate about, and I want to be able to use my skills and make the world a better place that way. So it's not like it's medical school or this career. I know that I am going to be able to balance everything and put everything together and make money in a way that makes our life happier. So
Let's talk about family. So you both, your family is in Pakistan, or they're here?
No, they're here.
Okay, they're here.
My dad lives in Pakistan. My parents split in when I was 15, so 2007.
Okay, and so your dad went back and your mom stayed.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now your dad is here for the baby, obviously, and you have your family here as well, and baby's coming. What is the family dynamic? What does the family dynamic for you guys look like?
Well, so my family is super excited because it's gonna be the first grandkid on my side of the family. I don't have any like immediate relatives other than so my parents moved here from Pakistan, but all of their family is still in Pakistan. I have no cousins or anything on this side of the world, really. So for me, my family is literally the most important thing in the world. It's my parents and my 4 siblings, or my 3 siblings, and then yeah.
Yeah, and my mom's entire side of the family lives in the U.S. for the most part. My dad's side of the family also lives, a majority of them live in the U.S.
So what's that? Because, you know, you said initially, well, I had to take approval from the entire community, right? So
yeah.
So,
so in fact, like I would say my community is my family.
Yeah.
Because that's the people that have been my aunties and uncles, like, growing up. They truly care about me as if they would their own, like, niece or nephew. So, yeah.
And so is the baby going to be, what I'm getting at is the baby going to be raised by this community?
Oh, absolutely, especially with me being in medical school. And already, like, we already have, like, so many aunties and uncles just being like, oh, we'll take the baby this day of the week, and you do school and you do work. But
we live in a community with a lot of young children, and we've been like kind of the designated babysitters of those kids. I think we're their favorite, probably, babysitters.
Well, I mean, influencers, designers, you know, gift givers,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Games and everything.
Yeah.
I love playing games with them and everything. And so now it's time for them to kind of maybe repay the favor a little bit. It's going to be awesome. And we live 2 minutes away from her parents, and we also live 2 minutes away from her sister and brother-in-law, my brother-in-law.
I'm so blessed, alhamdulillah, with like the family that I have, and I could literally not ask for like a better community, a better family. just because everyone is there and supportive. And so like, it's honestly usually the girl moves to the guy side of the family, but with us, Hamza moved to our community, like my Columbus community, because of how welcoming and how like supportive everyone is.
Right, they reeled you in, man. They got you good.
They got me.
But you know, look, the thing is that one thing I've learned here, but when I moved here, you know, is that people don't have that, and people actually try to run away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And we, as a community, as a culture, you know, Middle Eastern, Desi, Persian, Afghani, all this culture, we like to keep our community intact, and our kids are a product of that, right? They grow up, they're part of this community, they get to see all these different experiences, and they grow up amongst, you know, similar mindsets, similar cultures, and it's a beautiful thing, I think.
Yeah.
I think you can even look at a person and tell by their behaviors and mannerisms whether or not they have a strong community around them or not. It's kind of very apparent whether, like, you know, kind of how much culture they show in their actions and their mannerisms. And I think it's really apparent how strong of an effect a community with your culture has on you.
So you guys are looking forward to it.
Yes.
No conflict.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's awesome. Last question that I like to ask my guests, and you guys can answer this individually, is where do you guys see yourself in the next 7 years?
That's a really good question. I would say, like, hopefully in 7 years I'll be done with my medical education. So that'll be a big thing off of my checklist of life, inshallah. And then we're people that really want a lot more kids. So we're hoping a few more kids by then. And I would just want to, again, like, be the role models of the community, and kind of just grow our business, grow our social media along with that. And I just want to make sure that the world knows that we have we've made a positive impact on the world. I think that would be the main thing for me.
Yeah, in 7 years, I think it would be really nice if I could have a business that I could work on full time, like Humraha, that is able to provide me income and freedom and flexibility with my children, so I can show them like what it means to build something meaningful to you and your family, and really continue building Humraha with this new family, hopefully.
So you're all into the brand for the next 7 years, man. You're going to be dangerous.
So. Yes.
That's awesome. All Hamzas are dangerous, you know. That's what they say. Well, that's awesome. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate you guys taking time, coming all the way from Columbus to visit me here in Sugar Land, Texas for this podcast. Thank you once again, both of you. Thank you, Amraha. Thank you, Hamza, for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us. Yep.